So what is egoless? It's just in the name, less ego. Your ego or pride or self is one of the things that hold us back from everything in our entire life that we want. Everybody has a little voice in their head when they go around, and it sounds like this. Me, 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 me. They're always thinking about themselves, and that's a very, very lonely world. But when you can escape outside of yourself and you can go out and meet needs and serve other people, the whole world opens up. Because if everybody's going around thinking about themselves, but then you've got somebody who is focused on you, is going to help you grow, your whole world is going to expand. Now, the katana sword in the middle, right there, not only does it look cool, but it means something. The katana was one of the greatest weapons in history, the greatest sword in history. And here's why. The Japanese were perfectionists. And the katana sword was birthed in fire. Now, most weapons only had one element in it, but the katana sword had iron and steel. Now, the iron was soft and moldable, and the steel was hard. And they combined those two so that the katana sword could take a blow, but also stay strong. It was soft on the inside, but hard on the outside. And that's like us. We have to be soft on the inside because we always have to be able to adapt and change. We don't know it all. But we have to be tough and resilient on the outside because the world is going to beat you down and keep you there if you let it. Now, the katana sword wasn't made like any other sword. To make this sword, it was folded, it was cut, and it was folded. It was heated up and banged out repeatedly until it created that shape. Now, there's a little video after this explaining it, but that's what egoless means.
For many, the katana sword developed in the 16th century has the perfect combination of balance, artistic beauty, plus a sharpness in its cutting edge. Called the home of the gods, this area has rare mineral ores vital in the forging of a unique type of steel. The birth of every katana sword takes place in a crucible of fire, at the bottom of an iron furnace. Kihara Akira is one of the last remaining traditional Tatara masters in the world. He won't sleep for 3 days and 3 nights as he watches the furnace work on the dark materials for the world's sharpest swords. At temperatures of over 1,000 degrees, any impurities sink to the bottom of the chamber, leaving behind the pure steel. 10 men have worked continuously for 3 days and nights.
I can see the core. It looks good. There's a big relief. I'm happy.
The pieces of raw steel arrive from the smelters 300 kilometers away. Together with his son and assistant, Gasan carefully examines the tamahagane to see if it is up to scratch for his next sword. Forging of this new katana will take 3 men more than 3 months to complete. All done by hand, the process is impressively accurate. The carbon content ends up at a more or less uniform 0.7% throughout the block. Gasan gauges the concentration of carbon by the color of the steel. A dozen or more folds creates over 5,000 individual layers per 1 centimeter of steel. It is these layers that produce a pattern called the yihada, the skin of the metal. Slowly, the layered block takes shape as a weapon fit for a samurai warrior. The blending of the 2 metals is the next stage in the process. The hard cutting edge, high in carbon, is made from steel which is wrapped around the lower carbon content, more ductile iron that forms the heart of the blade. The overall structure of the outer steel, known as pearlite and ferrite, is very hard. But the Japanese swordsmiths take their swords 1 step further. During the hardening process, the katana slowly comes to life. Rapid cooling along the edge, only thinly coated in clay, traps the carbon within the steel into a highly stressed state. This forms the sword's cutting edge. Master Honami is a 14th generation sword polisher, one of the most revered and respected in the world. He will undertake the third and final stage in the sword-making process. After 10 days of polishing, he moves on to one of the finest grades of stone of all. The Yizuya stone is cut small, sometimes no bigger than a grain of rice. Although he keeps the blade's edge turned away from his body, it takes extreme concentration to rub these grains against some of the sharpest steel in the world. Hour by hour, the polisher exposes the inner beauty of the metal. The samurai's katana is proof of man's ability to strive for perfection. It is the culmination of generations of swordsmiths working across hundreds of years in a pursuit for the finest blade in the world. Time to inspect the results of half a year's work involving 15 men.
A sword that I spent so much time on, to see it finished, with all its characteristics brought fully to light. It leaves me speechless.
Made in the 21st century by strictly traditional methods, this katana sword is the embodiment of centuries of knowledge. In one perfect blade, it combines the resilient, soft qualities of iron with the hard, razor-sharp finish of steel.